America is a graveyard of stage races that don't exist anymore. The Tour of California, the USA Pro Challenge, the Philadelphia International Classic, gone. But for a while, the US calendar had races that could hold their own with the best in the world. One of our favorites was the Tour of Utah, a week-long battle across one of the most beautiful and brutal states in the country. And of all the editions, few were as memorable as 2016. That year, the overall came down to a dramatic attack on the final stage, with the winner being a rider you all now know and love. At the time though, this was his biggest road victory by far, and it might have changed the course of his entire career. Here's how it all unfolded. The 2016 Tour of Utah was a monster. Organizers brought back the legendary climb over Mount Nebo, and the race once again saved its hardest stages for the final weekend. The contenders were stacked. Cannondale returned with defending champion Joe Dombrowski, along with Andrew Tansky, making them the team to beat. BMC came with Colombian Darwin Adapuma, while Trek Segafredo pinned hopes on Peter Stetina. But among all these names was a semi-outsider, a rider who had been a World Tour prodigy, only to step away from the top level of the sport. Now in the colors of Jelly Belly, he was hungry for redemption. This was Lachlan Morton. Out of contract at the end of the season, he knew Utah could be his ticket back to the top. We've prepared really well, and I'll try to go for a podium this week. It's always hard to know before the race, but I've trained harder than I've ever trained before, and have prepared better than ever before. We'll step ahead to stage 3, where the first real GC battle of the race arrived. A single, brutal climb over Mount Nebo, then a 4,000-foot descent into Payson. It was a stage with only one climb on paper, but in Utah, one climb can be decisive. The race shattered as soon as the road tilted upward. The heat baked the riders, the altitude stripped the oxygen, and the long gradients began to thin the peloton to its strongest riders. One by one, contenders were shed until only a handful remained. Morton, Adrian Costa, Tansky, Adapuma, and Stetina among them. It was Costa, just 18 years old and riding beyond his years, who looked poised to upset the veterans. He shadowed every move, his face calm even as others grimaced. But then Morton struck. Quote, "When I saw Morton go early, I kind of figured that he knew what he was doing, considering that he had done a very similar move 3 years ago. I just told myself not to panic, just ride my own tempo." Morton launched that vicious acceleration towards the top, catching his rivals off guard. Quote, "I felt pretty good, and when it's a small group like that, if you hit them hard enough, they hesitate for a second, and you've got a small gap, and then that can be it." Behind, Costa chased hard, Tansky fought to stay close, but neither could match Morton's daring. He reached Payson alone, taking the stage win and the leader's jersey. Morton in yellow, Costa in second, Tansky in third. Suddenly, the underdog was the man to beat. The race truly came alive on stage 6, the Queen Stage, from Snow Basin Resort over Guardsman's Pass and finishing at Snowbird. This was a day designed to crown a champion. The peloton climbed steadily into the thin mountain air, the group splitting over Guardsman's brutal ramps. Morton clung to yellow, but Cannondale had their plan set. Launch Tansky late and make the Jelly Belly leader crack. On a final climb to Snowbird, the attacks came. Adapuma surged, Tansky marked him, and together, the two rode away. Morton and Costa tried to limit losses, but the speed was relentless. In the final kilometer, Tansky lit it up. He surged clear and claimed the stage with a scream of release, his first road win in 2 years. Behind him, Morton gritted his teeth, but the jersey slipped away. At day's end, Tansky led Morton by 22 seconds, and Costa was in third at 56 seconds down. Quote, "It's a great feeling to win again. To win the stage is really special, and to be sitting here in yellow is great. We have another day of racing to go, but to win the stage was really nice. It looked like the GC was settled. Cannondale had the jersey. Morton had given everything. But Utah always saves something for the final day." The finale was savage. 2 climbs, capped by the infamous Empire Pass before a high-speed plunge into Park City. It was the kind of stage where legends can be made. From the start, BMC went on the offensive. Joey Roscoff attacked, brakes went up the road and splintered apart. The race was chaos. Morton, though, stayed quiet, riding in the bunch, saving everything for the final climb. At the base of Empire Pass, Morton made his move. No hesitation. He attacked hard, surged clear of the group, and began to reel in the remnants of the breakaway. Lewis cracked, Carpenter cracked, even Tao Geoghegan Hart, still early in his career, couldn't hold him. Morton passed them all. Behind, Tansky was in trouble. Dombrowski tried to pace him back, but the Cannondale leader was visibly suffering. Costa and Adapuma surged past, forming the chase group, but Morton was gone, over the top. Morton had 1:20 on Costa. On the twisting descent, Costa managed to drop Adapuma, but Morton was already free-falling towards Park City. Morton hit this finishing straight alone, arms stretched wide, taking the stage and the overall by 33 seconds over Costa, 49 over Adapuma, and nearly 2 minutes over a broken Tansky. This was a rebirth. See, Morton had been a prodigy for Team Garmin-Sharp, tipped for greatness. But the grind of the World Tour life wore him down. In 2014, he stepped away from the sport. He returned only on his own terms, signing with Jelly Belly alongside his brother Angus. By 2015, he was quietly rebuilding, finishing top 10 at Utah and the USA Pro Challenge. But 2016 proved he was truly back. His emotional celebration of the finish said it all. Quote, "I've had a pretty tough few years since the last time I raced well here. I've had a lot of changes in my life, and to get back to this top step is very special. And there are a lot of people who are involved with that. So yeah, there were a lot of things going through my head, but mainly just all the people who continued to support me when things weren't good." Morton thanked his parents, his wife, his brother Angus, and team manager who had given him the chance to rebuild. His story continued. Morton rejoined the World Tour of Dimension Data, then became one of the faces of EF Education's alternative calendar, tackling gravel, bikepacking epics, and solo journeys like his legendary ride across Australia. Today, he's one of the most beloved riders in the world. But without that 1 week in Utah, the attacks, the grit, and the win that might have saved his career, none of it might have happened. The Tour of Utah may be gone, but its legacy lives on in moments like these.